Working on my Chevy Cobalt SS, and today I'm going to be finishing up the engine install. Have the engine in, torque converter hooked up, starter hooked up, well, starter installed. I still got to hook up the wiring, motor mounts, exhaust manifold is hooked up. Still got to put on the heat shield. So there's a whole bunch of items I still have to take care of, and I'm going to start with some of the wiring. I'm going to put the underhood fuse box back in, and that way I'll have that set, and then I can start going through and hooking up the wiring. And even though, like I said, I'm pretty familiar with where all the wires go, it's just so much easier to spot a piece of masking tape than trying to figure out if I have everything hooked up. Whereas if I see a piece of masking tape dangling down, I clearly know that it hasn't been hooked up. So I'm going to start on that, and then kind of take things one step at a time. Hook back up the overflow tank, fill it full of coolant. All right, let's get started. All right, here is the underhood fuse box, and it comes in a couple different sections. So the top part clips on. Top part clips on, and this is where all the wiring goes. I'm going to set that aside, and then first thing I'm going to do is put in the base, which goes down here, and this is where your transmission control unit goes and your engine control unit. Alright, I got the 2 bolts, fuse box to frame. Hook up the engine wiring harness to the body wiring harness right here. I know you probably can't see it that well, but that just clicked in there. Alright, when you're putting the fuse box back together, it's easier to lay all of the wiring harnesses down in the fuse box and then set this part on top. There we go. One of these a little spin just to kind of suck it down there. If you try to put it in first before you set the whole thing down, it's hard to line everything up. Never force anything to go in there. If it doesn't fit together easily, just take it apart, figure out what you're doing wrong. It's definitely easier to do that than to break parts and then have to replace them. It is literally just a snug more than hand tight. Now I'm going to connect the 2 bolts that connect the fuse box housing to the frame rail. Alright, now I'm going to hook up the main power cords and fuse box top. And I take off the masking tape as I put these back in, so I don't get you know, so I just know it's on, and then this should say fuse box bottom. Wait, when I'm looking for masking tape dangling, I'm not confusing ones that are already hooked up. Then put the jumper post back in, and this jumper post takes a 10 millimeter. Then I'm going to push the zip tie Christmas tree fitting back where it goes. The bottom here is the transmission wiring harness, and then there's one in the very back there too. I probably should have put on before I put the fuse box on, but I'll still get to it. This connector right here for the top of the transmission hooks back in, and then you push this gray tab down. But like I said, I'm not gonna be able to film it because I can barely reach it. And then this just slips on this little black tab. There we go. And there. Just take a little bit off because I know I'm think I'm going to hook up the TCM and the ECU. There we go.
Come here. Come here, Hannah.
Oh, how adorable. I wish it wasn't dirty.
Come on, Halo. Ready? Watch. She's just gonna sit.
How old is she?
She's 10 weeks.
Alright, I really can't show it too well, but you have two power wires going to the starter. And then right on the top side of the transmission, you have two ground wires going there. So next thing I'm going to do is put on the fuse box cover, just so no debris falls in there. So this actually routes around here. And in there, that's what the little bump out there is for. There we go. And then this hose right here goes to the overflow tank. Alright, now I'm going to put on the intake manifold. Alright, fit this in here, and now I'm going to get the bolts for the bolts, and then the two nuts for over there. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is put on the Serpentine belt. I already have the belt laid over the AC condenser and the alternator. That is the nicest homemade serpentine belt tool little 3H drive adapter where you put a wrench on it. Put a piece of rubber glove in there to hold it in place. And now I have a short-handled serpentine belt tool. And I really don't use standard sizes too much. They're all metric, so I'm not even going to miss the wrench. Alright, I just hooked up a fresh battery, and I have the jump pack hooked up to it as well. So this is going to be the first start. Pretty sure I have everything hooked up. Sometimes you forget stuff. So I don't hear the fuel pump running, but well, that is the first start. Alright, so this is one of the things you go through. I need to tighten down the exhaust manifold. Alright, let me do that real quick and then I'll get back to you. Alright, this is going to be the first start, and I am going to have to do a crank position sensor relearn. But I believe everything's hooked up. I still need to get clamps for the heater core, so there might be some leaking radiator fluid. $118,531 miles. Primer the fuel pump a couple times. So it does have a slight misfire. We turn the car off. So first thing I'm going to do is turn the engine on. And then alright, it's connected to the sensor. I'm going to read codes real quick and then turn off this engine. So it looks like the fuel injector, maybe I don't have it hooked up correctly. So that is good to know. I will track down all of the trouble codes and look at the injector. We'll have this thing running in no time. I do want to fix the hoses for the heater core before I run this again. But that is a good first start. Just one misfire. This thing will be ready to go in no time. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.